Welcome everybody to the virtual tour of my art reception of the Shelter Cove Art Gallery. This is put on by Scarf, and we're doing a virtual today because of, I want to give you a big air hug. I know everybody's hugging like that now, so welcome. I'm going to just explain a few of these pieces. Technically, they're not really art pieces for me. They're more visions that came from a time that was reflected from my childhood, and also deep memory and indigenous dreams that have come through the pigment moving in water. So most of the art is watercolor, but sometimes there's mixed media too. I'll start right here with this painting right here. It's one of the more recent paintings. This is the Hopi Rainforest Ambassador, and this is what basically put me on the red road to go back to my indigenous culture. I contracted some vitiligo, and I found a woman who had some. She was wearing like spaghetti strap shirt. I was wearing long sleeves covering it all up, and I said, hey, I like your spots. You wear them quite well. And she told me that she was Bolivian and she had vitiligo and she was proud of it. And that set me free to wear vitiligo everywhere. But we together found some rainforest Amazon treasure tea, and she thought that would help our vitiligo. So we started drinking this Amazon tea, and consequently, I got really caught up in the mission and the vision for these herbs. And so I ended up going to Peru on the company and learning about sacred medicines, food grade level barks and herbs. And so this Hopi Ambassador basically took me back to my tribe, which, by the way, in college I got a scholarship, and so they said, whenever you get given something, you have to give back. So that's why I went back to Colorado, to my tribe, which is in Chimney Rock, Colorado, and Arquiva, where the Puebloans dance. There's two kinds of mesas there. It's the same kind. Chaco Canyon and Chimney Rock have the same, like, the way that they make the kivas, the same kind of masonry. So this little ambassador took back to the rainforest and became the Hopi Rainforest Ambassador. Consequently, I started bringing barks and herbs and food grade level plants to villages, and that just put me on a circuit to several North American tribes, including Canada and the Yucatan. So I had a lot of travel experience with it, and I loved it. So I began to have memories about the horses from my childhood that lived in our village in Segundo, Colorado. And my sister and I, we would jump on these bareback horses that we'd find loose. They didn't belong to anybody. They were basically horses that just ran around the village, and people could use them to help them in their gardens or whatever. And they would always let the children get on their backs, and they'd run us like under these clotheslines, try to get us to fall off. And my little sister slipped off one of the horses one day, and all the pack stopped for us. And we got off, and we went and got her out. She was hanging, she was like 5 years old, hanging under the belly of a horse. And after I realized these horses were playing with us. So I kind of have learned that horses are really cool, and they bring so much, I want to say, frequencies and vectors of energy to me, and so do the feathers. So today I'm using a talking head, a feather head, and they came to me in a gallery I started in '93. It was called the Growing Heart Studio, and I had these talking feather heads that would help me paint dreams. So there's some other pictures here. This is my bio, and it's just what I just told you about going back from my college scholarship, going back to the tribes, and being reunited with my Hopi family, who adopted me because when you are a Puebloan and you don't know your clan, they wash your hair. And this is from my Hopi family. Thank you, Ruben Safke. Okay, let's go over here. This is a really pretty painting of fuchsia on rice paper. Has a dream quality about it, and it's one of my paintings. That's what I would call a painting. This is Jana's dream. We used to just sit around the table. My roommate at the time, we both had small children, And we would just paint through the young childhood ages of our children. So this is called Jana's Dream. Here's Jana dreaming all of the board sports: skateboard, surfboard, snowboard. So you have mountains, surf. And by the way, this was painted in the 90s before we even knew anybody would end up at the redwoods. There's a redwood moth, and there's the urchin, or it was representative of cognitive energy that was coming to us. So I had always wanted to come to Humboldt County right out of high school with the Back to the Landers. I graduated in '74. And I got here after 6 family members got here. So my children were all here before I got here. I don't know how that works. So it was good though. This was inspired by my new puppy, who's now 11 months old, but at 5 months old, she was the most obedient little Labrador, and she gave me kisses. So this is called Kisses, and it's just about what a little puppy can bring to your heart. This is kind of an interesting piece. The overlay here is like a sky ship that's going around the nebula. So if you can even see the overlay of the mast and the ship here with a big bow in the front, the ship is sailing through the galactics, seeing the stars and the new planets. This is the beginning of my planetary relationships, part of it. This was a large picture of my planetary relationships that I put outside to dry, and my Rottweiler was a puppy at the time who helped make it now a collage. Yeah, so that's a bunch of stuff in there. Okay, these 3 pieces are the dream energy that I want to speak about. I'll let you focus on those for a minute. This painting was painted first, and it basically represents what is called the Mittens. I think it's southern Utah. And it's sort of the story of smoke rising, which in the pueblos, you have 90 miles between each pueblo. And sometimes they would have a runner coming from the Amazon with barks and herbs, and so they'd say the smoke would go up because you knew a runner was coming to the next village. So that was a way to know somebody's coming. This is really cool with the mixed rainbow of colors, some featherheads, some, I don't know what that is. And this is the shaman of the rainforest. And coming out of it, and he'd be mixing the North American mestizo medicines. Mestizo representing the indigenous being colonized and part of the Spanish influence. So in South America, I am told that the strongest medicines of the shamans is the mestizo medicine. Makes a lot of sense. Bringing kind of internal peace to what could have been warring societies. And we're always in our bodies swinging from life to death with our lymphatic system, you know, so it's constant, but at the same time, I really believe that there can be some boundaries and peace, and I really think this time right now with the coronavirus is a time to represent a social distance, to learn about our own personal boundaries. So it's kind of interesting that this is happening. This painting came next. This is a prophetic painting in that this is the line of the earth, this is the ocean, and in here are the seeds of what we're planting, and right here is the mother. This is Mother Earth in a big question in her eye and in her head, asking us as part of the forest, and this is the black snake prophecy, which I didn't even realize was in this painting till recently. These are like elk walking along or trees, but the Mother Earth is asking what the, you know, are you doing on planet Earth? What are you doing with the Earth? The black snake prophecy has to do with the North Dakota oil pipeline that went down the no DAPL, whatever. That's no pipeline, meaning the Missouri River, if for any reason that breaks, can be very compromised through the whole midsection of the United States, the water supply, and all of the inhabitants of the water. So water defenders internal questions from Mother Earth. This painting over here is really a super cool painting to me because it just started with this huge rainbow that turns out to be crowned by the great creators. And in there, you see this buffalo hoof. So the buffalo hoof is like, so to speak, a great spirit or a representation of great creators. And in it has this breath, right here's a little angel breath. This is like a little angel of oxygen, the air angel. And if you could see it from a vision back, this whole black piece coming down with a little bit of a profile right here is an ancient astronaut who is coming into the pueblos for the Chibola. These are cities of gold. This is all the gold trails. This is all the pummeling of our special resources and what's in the earth. So after you see the overlay of this ancient astronaut, this could be his eye right here and coming down like this. Then you can see the other overlay of the child, the innocent child within his own face. It's like they're meeting face to face. This is the widow's peak of the child. There's the nose, those are the eyes. She's breathing the angel's breath of oxygen. She's taking in that air, and I wasn't even involved with cannabis, but here's, looks like to me, a endocannabinoidal healing plant or something. Also here is the spark of life, the inspiration, the new breath of hope, that is the butterfly. And then over her head is this little lamb, and the lamb is the scapegoat. All the stories we've been told around the messianic energy and the rescue of planet Earth and the inhabitants. And so down from this scapegoat comes the shaman. Here's the shaman head under feathers. Inside of this abalone piece that's got the emblem of infinity, hearts, and these winged pieces are actually the messianic symbol for, I want to say, the most organic time of the earth, when we will all be at peace among all nations. Here's one of my winged feathered heads. So I've actually got like wings and a little spirit bird off into the left. Here's our, like, the shoulder. This is the shoulder of this astronaut coming down this way. He's wearing this symbol of all these pueblos, or it could be even Israel. It looks so, could be wherever. All this glitter here is done with violin resin. Some friend of mine was a violin maker, and he gave me a bowl of violin resin, and I just incorporated it in this painting, and I liked it. And thank you, Ronnie and Dennis Struble, who lent this to me, because it is sold. But they really wanted it back, so I'm glad they let me put it in the show. And as far as this goes, there's a lot more art that I consider dreams that were painted, but we'll save that for another time. And I'm really grateful that the Shelter Cove Art Gallery allowed me to come and do a virtual tour of this particular reception. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Good job.